If you have an interest in horses and love learning more about horses, the horse industry, teaching, or even managing your own horse business, then you're in the right place. We would love you to join us on our mission, which is to improve the lives of horses around the world through the education of riders, handlers, and trainers. So get comfortable, listen in, and enjoy.
Okay, welcome back to Horse Chats. Today we've got back on Julianne Humphries, and you know that Julianne's absolutely passionate when she comes on here, and she's following up now on the Brumbies and the story there. We have talked to Jenny Solomon in the past, who's a local in the Snowy Mountains, or she lives at Cooma, I think, near the North Snowy Mountains, and she was telling us about the unrealistic numbers and the possibility of starting aerial shooting again. We're just going to talk to Julianne, because she'll be able to give us an overview on the whole situation. Before I do that, though, I just want to remind you about the vision of International Horse College, and that's to have a world where people safely appreciate, respect and enjoy their horses, and the horses appreciate, respect and enjoy their people. And that's not happening at the moment. So if you've got the same vision as International Horse College, then have a look at the website, internationalhorsecollege.com, registered training organisation 31352. Now, Julianne, are you there?
Yeah, absolutely, Glenys. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, and welcome back. We've talked to Jenny Solomon about the unrealistic numbers that she said, and she's a local in the area, but unrealistic numbers that have come up with the Brumbies, certainly in the North Snowy River. But you've got a bit of an overview that you're going to be able to give us. So tell us a bit about Brumbies, and I'm sure that, Australians have heard, and like we've heard of Mustangs in America, and apparently there's far more Brumbies within Australia than there are Mustangs in America. But tell us a little bit about the heritage of Brumbies, because they're a bit of an Australian icon.
Well, they're absolutely an Australian icon, Glenys. So, they played a huge role in colonising our country. They went to war for us. They were a huge role in our military in several wars. They were transport in the gold rush days. They're even used for the mounted police. These horses, they really, really beyond earned their stripes. And then they were let go. Now, we chose to let them go, and they've lived very harmoniously, coexistent in the wild ever since. And, now here we are in this position. It's appalling. They really are a huge part of Australia's heritage, and they really, really should be looked after.
Okay, so tell us then about, because I'm familiar with the Brumbies in Queensland, which just because they're all Brumbies, but the ones in the Snowy Mountains are ones that have been let go. Tell us a little bit about their conformation.
Yeah, great. Well, given that they started out as war horses and horses that were used for work, they're a really hardy, strong-backed, sturdy-legged horse. They're of solid colour normally, although, boy, oh boy, there's some pretty colours out there. Some of them are more athletic than others. So you get some very, very stout-looking, strong builds, and you also get the little bit more slender builds, of course, which really makes them a very usable animal in all departments. Their hooves are second to none. I've worked with a lot of Brumbies in my time, and I've always seen the hoof under the animal as just it's a dense quality of hoof. It's normally black, and it's normally really good angles. I'm yet to find a Brumbie with 4 hooves, and they're not a large hoof. They're a smallish, really well conformed hoof. Their head is normally broad between the eyes, which in my opinion says veins. And they've got normally a long head with a short mouth, which when you're riding them, I'll argue that this helps with leverage. So it makes the pony very light in the hand naturally. It makes for a perfect all-rounder, and it makes for a beautiful kid's pony. And, their temperament second to none. It's a very trainable animal. It's a very sensible and very quiet animal. They're a very trusting animal, and I think that's why they're an easy target, to be honest, Glenys.
Now, when Jen Solomon came on the previous podcast, she said that the two main things that she would like to see is to get a true count of the Brumbies, because apparently some were saying, there's some reports that there's 19,000 there, and she said, well, there's not that many there. She can't see anywhere near that amount. But also she said, what's the true damage? Because, we talk about people and roads and everything else. She said apparently there's some damage in one of the dams, but the dams had all the water let out of it, so the Brumbies have to go down beyond the normal water level, and they've made a bit of mud going into the water there. But, let's look at the true damage. How many numbers are there in the true damage? So do you want to talk about even the environment there? You're saying that they're healthy for the environment?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is where, from my perspective, I'm looking at it through the eyes of a person that's worked with horses professionally for many years, and a true passionate person about horses and the environment. And so I'm loving the fact that we're drawing some people into the conversation that actually live there and they know firsthand exactly what's going on. For me, I've been talking to the people that live up there for many years now about the subject, and what I can gather is that, the Brumbies, when the numbers were in existence, they would keep the underscrub at bay, which, effectively made safe for flora and fauna in the case of bushfire. The specialists who are out in the field studying the environment have seen where the Brumbies have also kept the serrated tussock under control, while they've actually helped with the spread of native grasses. Brumbies, they do not rub on trees like deer and goats. They don't eat the trees like deer and goats. They do not bulldoze the trees and plough the ground like pigs. Brumbies are not meat eaters, so they are not predators like cats and dogs that threaten native animals. In fact, the fellas that have been up there lately have even seen the frogs, the beloved corroboree frogs, spawning in the puddles where the Brumbies reside. So both the frogs and the horses, now this is a fact that anyone, this is just facts. Frogs and horses only live where there's clean, fresh water. Without pristine waterways, frogs and horses they're both a species that struggle to survive. Horses, they're a grazing animal. They eat tops of the grass, leaving the root system and about 10 centimetres of the stem untouched, unlike deer and goats who eat to the ground. Being a grazing animal also means that they move slowly to fresh pick, and they won't ever devastate one area, whether it be in the bush or along the waterway or out on the plains. They're actually, as far as I see them, to be, when I put all those factors together, if I was living up there, I would feel much better about the environment. I would feel that the environment's much safer. I would feel that my life is much safer with the Brumbies on board, given that, as I say, from my perspective, I know what it's like to live in an area of 30 years of untouched undergrowth in the bushfires of the 2019 New Year, in 2020 year. So, I lived for 11 weeks through that bushfire myself on the Eurobodalla south coast,
Yep.
New South Wales. So I know firsthand what it's like to live with untouched undergrowth. And, you know, believe me, it's not a place you want to be. I would love it if there was an animal just, you know, quietly mowing through the bush and just keeping me under scrub at bay around here. It would be a delight. But yeah, so that's what they've got up there at present. Probably don't have enough to do the job. I think the last bushfire actually did wipe out some of those iconic huts, and it wiped out a lot of the native animals and so on, because the numbers of Brumbies simply aren't there. So if they're untouched at the 3,000 that they're meant to be, you might actually have the environment quite healthy, like it has been for a long time, like, you know, prior to all this squabbling and arguing about killing them.
So what about the 19,000 number that's come up with? How do you rate that?
Yeah, well, it's interesting that you've come up with a 19, because the one that's been spluttered all over the media, get this, it's so broad. The number that I've seen most splattered around, it says between 14 and 23,000 horses. Now, that's a huge discrepancy in itself. It's just ridiculous. So I just wrote a little thing here. You know, the government have admitted that the methodology used for counting the Brumbies does not work, and that without doubt their own figures are incorrect. They've already admitted that.
That's interesting.
Isn't that interesting?
Mm.
However, they're still killing them. They're still up there on foot killing them and trucking them out by the 50-odd horses, 79 horses, trucks and trucks of them coming out. They go to the slaughterhouse, they go to rehomers, they go to wherever, they don't care. And then, so the legislation currently states that 3,000 Brumbies are to be protected and allowed to live naturally in the wild. That's the legislation currently. Aerial culling is currently banned. Now, Claire Galea, she's an independent researcher, so she has nothing to do with Brumbies necessarily. She has nothing to do with the government. She's got no hidden agenda to this whatsoever. Now, she did a count just because that's her profession, is counting figures. She's already found, and she's gone on, you know, interviewed by Ray Hadley and so on, and really actually advertised what she's found, because it's so absurd. It's so amazing. The government's figures are biologically impossible. To get remotely close to this, what you called it in the middle, you went 19,000. We'll go with that. So to get remotely close to that figure, every single mare up there, this is just Kosciuszko. This is not even counting all the other places around. But to get remotely close to that figure, every single mare would have to be producing litters of 7 foals per year.
Yes, okay.
How good's that?
Yeah.
That is unbelievable, isn't it?
Yes.
Like, our government actually advertised this.
Yeah. Yep.
What's going on? Like, so our mares are not only every single mare of foaling age, they're not only every single mare is in season at the same time.
Wow.
You know, not every single mare, they have a successful birth, and the foal actually lives, like the wild dogs don't get in and eat it first. But yet they've got to have 7 of them a year, mind you. Now, anyone listening to this will know that a mare, if all the stars align, they can only have 1 foal a year. Like, it's absurd. It's just, that's how they, to get remotely close to their 19,000, that's what has to happen. So they're pretty special horses up there. They're having litters.
Wow. Okay.
According to the government.
Yep.
It's amazing.
Stop. I need to interrupt this chat for a hot off the press notification. That is, that the latest version of the book, 101 Careers in the Horse Industry, is now available, and the best news is that it's a free download. So if you work in the horse industry, if you have a plan to work in the horse industry and have a career in the horse industry, or if you know someone who plans to have a career in this fabulous industry, then this is an essential book for you to read now and then keep as a reference as you progress through your career. With over 100 jobs to choose from, you'll probably find at least one that you'd happily do without being paid. So simply go to internationalhorsecollege.com, scroll down to the bottom of the page and click on the 101 Careers in the Horse Industry button to receive your free career book. Imagine, maybe one day you could be a guest on Horse Chats. So the cull, they stopped the aerial culling a while ago. Now, why did they stop the aerial culling?
Well, golly, why did they stop it?
Yeah.
Why did they stop it? I think they stopped it actually. The main story that I heard that was closest to the truth is that there was people up there that were nearly getting shot on their own property.
Oh, really? Okay.
Seriously, that's what I heard that was closest to the truth. One would have to speculate that they stop the aerial culling, win a few more votes, get voted in, and then change the legislation.
Yep.
It seems to be a pattern to me. As I say, I've watched this for a long time now and watched it from just sitting back on the South Coast here and talking to the people that are up there living in the park.
Mm-hmm.
They neighbour the park up there at Kosciuszko. I'll talk mostly about Kosciuszko, but it's right across Australia. There's several areas where Brumbies live, as you mentioned. But, yeah, the people that I've been speaking to mostly, some of them are in Victoria, but most of them, in the high country, they've been living and working up there forever. And, they definitely were shooting way too close to people's properties. At the moment they still do aerial culling of, they tell you that it's of deer and pigs, but they accidentally shoot the horses.
So even the aerial shooting of the deers and the pigs, because that's not what we're talking about, but how many shots are fired and how many of those animals are injured and then are not like captured and treated or anything, just injured and then they either die.
Captured and treated, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, golly, Glenys. So I know the people that have firsthand seen horses wandering around with their jaw shot out, and they're just trying to get a drink. They can't get a drink. They die of thirst because their jaw's been shot out. Now, from the air, you just imagine this, from the air with a machine gun. So we're talking how many shots fired? Who knows? Nobody knows. Like, it's just rounds and rounds and rounds, just spraying bullets everywhere. So there's no way you're going to get a kill shot from the air with a machine gun. What you are going to do, without a doubt, is put numerous holes in whatever gets shot, so that there could be, who knows what will get shot. I would be thinking that the easiest target has to be the Brumbies, because just think about how animals behave. Now, if you frighten a pig, what happens? He goes for the bushes, doesn't he?
Sure.
Like, I know that. I've been riding in the bush. I've seen the pigs. You come across a big cleared area that's been made by the pigs. They've bulldozed the trees down and ploughed the area. It looks like it's ready for a garden. And that's made by the pig. The pig sees you and he runs for the bushes. So when pigs are frightened, they just run and hide in the bushes. When deer are frightened, they just run for the bushes. When horses are frightened, they herd together and get out in the open where they can go fast and gallop. Any horse
Yep.
person would know this. So it makes them a very easy target as far as shooting them, but it doesn't make them an easy target for a kill shot. So I would be flat out clear, like imagining that any of them get killed. Like they just stagger into a waterway and die and make the waterway toxic. You know, or they die out in the field and then all the wild dogs come out later and chow down on them.
Yep.
And, you know, then you've got a really healthy wild dog population because they're very well fed. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's really, really cruel. You know, the mares normally they die aborting their foals. They normally can't run anymore because they have to lay down and their foal's being aborted. Just that's what their body just does. It starts aborting the foal. So there's photos of numerous mares in one photograph, all with half aborted foals.
Wow.
So they're all dead as doornails. But that would have taken. Could you imagine how horrific that pain would be?
Absolutely. You know, I mean, we're talking about the counting. The counting is flawed. What's a new way? What's a better way to count?
Well, the system that I've heard the specialists talking about that's recommended that they see would be a very accurate count. It's a flyover, and they take video footage while they count. And so you'd have 2 people counting and 2 people videoing, and then they get back later on and they compare the notes and they make sure that they're both very, very close in their numbers. They think looking at that, it would only take them about 2 days and they could do a flyover. In this instance, they'd be able to see and record where the more populated pockets are and where there's very few or no Brumbies at all. You know, to be able to get a proper count of exactly how many are out there.
Yes, because if the horses are flying over and going from one area or one flyover to the next, I suppose if you've got the video, you've got the evidence and you can say, hang on, this mob here were, this herd, you know, they've already been counted.
That's right. And you can recognise them, it avoids double counting.
Yep.
And it also, now these people, you've got to understand, and this is what I've come to know over many years of studying this subject, the people that are up there with the horses frequently, they actually know the horses. They have names for them. You know, you'll see a little post come on my chart here and it'll say rest in peace, you know, Rocco or whatever they call him, you know, that he's one of the iconic stallions that him and his family have been living up there for years and years and years. And he's now dead. He's been shot and he's just crawled away and died. And so the people have gone up there to photograph him because there's lots of people, I shouldn't say lots, but there's a handful of really amazing people that they go up there and all they're there to do is photograph them.
Yep.
And so these people, they know where the Brumbies are, because they can go straight to them, and they know who the Brumbies are. They know the different families. And so when you see these stunning photographs, when you see these stunning photographs of Brumbies, they're taken by people that are absolutely passionate about the Brumbies and they actually know the Brumbies.
Yes.
So it's quite amazing. So to do your flyover system with your video and your counting, it would be really, really accurate.
Well, certainly a lot more accurate than now. Yeah.
Yeah, but much better than software in the office.
Yes. So, Julianne, what you're saying is you want the killing to stop until we know exactly how many are there at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. wouldn't that be the sensible thing? You know, that, why? So you go, all right, we've admitted, like we just sort of gather this together in one sentence. We've admitted that the numbers are incorrect. We know how to count them, but hang on a minute, we won't let you in to count them. We're not going to count them until we've killed them.
Yeah.
That's basically what's going on right now.
Yep.
We're going to kill them all and then count them.
Mm.
That's really what we're looking at. Like, we really, really are, like, looking at a situation here, a so-called management plan, where the Brumbies they're facing down the barrel of extinction. Brumbies will become extinct because the ones that get rehomed, they're called the lucky ones, when they get rehomed, they've got to be gelded. They stipulate that we geld them. There's very few stallions that live in captivity.
Okay.
They bring them in and geld them. So they're not going to continue on. The Brumby line, the heritage listed line, won't continue, whether it be domestic or wild.
What's the solution then? You're saying let's count them properly. Let's fly over the whole park, videoing as we go, 2 people counting and 2 people videoing, and it should take about 2 days. So, yes, there's an expense, but, when we talk about the government budget, that's fairly minimal. Stop the killing until there's a new count so that we know exactly what there is. And the management plan, I think that how many should be there at the moment? How many should be there in all the different parks, or which, we're talking about Snowy Mountain Park?
Yeah, Kosciuszko, they say that there's legislation states that there's supposed to be 3,000 of them up there that are protected.
Yep. And how many do you think, from talking to the people that are actually in the area, that ride in the area, how many do they say there is at the moment?
The people that are going up there, both on foot and under saddle, I've heard it as low as 1,500.
So much lower than what the actual management plan says.
Well, the management plan are working off 23,000.
But the management plan is working towards 3,000, is that right?
That's what they're telling us.
Yeah.
But they've also told us that the figures are flawed.
Yep. Okay. Now, tell me what people should do if they want to have a say on this.
So, if you can get in before September 11, isn't that an ironic date?
Yes.
So, yeah, if you get in before 9/11, you can put your 2 bobs worth forward and in protest to the aerial cull. It won't necessarily stop the on-foot culling, but the big thing that Peter Cochrane, he's been I'll call him a leader. He's been amazing at being a Brumby advocate for decades now. He actually, his big thing is said, moving forward right now, he said, we all need to band together. Mm-hmm. So no in-house squabbling about the rehoming of Brumbies or the foot shooting or the aerial culling or any part of it. Recognise that every single person is of the same agenda on that side of the fence. All we want to do is see the Brumbies safe. Mm-hmm. So his message that he wanted to deliver was that all the Brumby advocates band together, because you're only going to be of any power through Parliament if you're in great numbers. So, we need as many people as possible in the public, general public, to know what's going on. I've seen so far that the only thing that the general public know is what comes on the TV at night, where they're talking about, the feral horse and they're, trampling the corroboree frog, and there's 23,000 of them up there and they're in plague proportion. This is what is being advertised. by the government. And so the only thing we can do moving forward at the moment is share the message of the absolute facts and let people know that they can speak up. They can put submissions into the government, and it's really easy. Just Google it and you'll find where to put that submission into. Even write to me and I'll send you the link. That's no worries at all on where to put a submission in. But the real big deal is that first port of call got to stop the killing of the Brumbies. Stop the aerial cull. That's that's the biggie.
Okay.
And to be able to do it, it's got to happen with everybody banding together. You can't be having your own opinion on this and your own opinion on that. It's just, if you want the Brumbies safe, everybody band together as one unit.
All right. So I've got some links here as well from Jenny, and I will certainly get a link. So if you want to find out what that link is that Julianne's saying, go to her or go to horsechats.com. And if you just search for Julianne or search for Humphries, you'll have all of her chats come up, not just the one about the Brumbies, but, just tips to becoming a better horse person. All about Julianne, lunging, teaching, riding, training. She's got some solutions for the racing industry. And I just think if you go there, have a look, listen to her other chats as well, because you get a bit passionate about these things, Julianne. You're a great advocate for the horse. So I think go there and we'll make sure that there's some links there that you can have a look at as well. So that would be great.
No, well, just one little thing that I would like to add, that I'm not sure how this huge imbalance has happened in society, I'll call it society, in this, where one of my chats, you just mentioned chats that I'd done in the past, was about thoroughbreds.
Yes.
Now, how is it that there's huge advocates for looking after, and there's huge measures looking after the racehorses, and any horse these days that's involved in any horse sport whatsoever, there's a huge animal liberation movement looking after them. How is it that the same species that is our heritage icon doesn't get the same respect?
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
It'll be a really sad day if our children don't ever get to see a Snowy Mountains Brumby.
Yes, for sure.
Yep. That's where because I'm in the middle of both sides of it. Yeah, I'm into horse sport. I've raced horses. I've done horse sport. Love a rodeo. And then, and I even respect what abattoirs do, and that people might have to shoot the odd Brumby if it's trying to break through their fences or something, to get into their mares or something like that. Absolutely. But how is it that they're the same species, but they're treated so differently?
Yep.
Yeah. So, we want to be able to take the kids up the mountains and show them a Brumby.
Yep.
And explain why they're there.
Yes. Yeah. Julianne, thank you very much. And, I'm sure we'll get you back again soon, but hopefully all goes well. And we certainly will be putting some links at the bottom of your page for people to be able to have a say about this.
Oh, wonderful. And I'll share this as much as I can, because I just think the public need to know what's going on.
Most definitely. Yep.
Thanks, Glenys.
If you've enjoyed this chat, then please comment, rate and subscribe. If you'd like any changes or recommendations for guests, then please contact us through horsechats.com. And while you're online, have a look at the government-accredited courses at internationalhorsecollege.com. Registered Training Organisation 31352.
Remember that our comments and instructions are general in nature and do not take into consideration your individual horses or your individual ability and circumstances. If you enjoyed this podcast, then please leave your comment below.